Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. My name is Cal Golden. I'm from Hot Springs, Arkansas, and I am one of 4 speakers this afternoon on the subject of duty and responsibilities of a Master of Ceremonies and Showmanship as it pertains to a square dance caller. We're going to allow some time at the end of our presentation for questions and answers, and we would sincerely ask that you please use the microphone up front here so the questions can be put on the tape. Several years ago, we had a lot of answers on our tapes, but no questions. So we do need the 2 of them together. Master of Ceremonies, according to the World Book of Encyclopedias, defines a Master of Ceremonies as a person managing a ceremony or an entertainment who makes sure that all parts of it takes place in proper order. Showmanship. Webster New World Dictionary defines showmanship. A showman, a person who makes a business at producing or managing shows, and a person who is schooled at this or at presenting anything in an interesting or dramatic manner. We would like for you to please pay attention to how we introduce our people so that you'll have some idea of the way that we feel is a proper way to introduce people at a given function. We have at our first speaker this afternoon comes from Blountville, Tennessee. He started square dancing in 1965. He has been a full-time caller since 1979. He calls for 4 local clubs and conducts beginner classes, mainstream workshop, plus and advance. He is the executive director of Red Boot Productions. He is a recording artist for Red Boot Record. He sings bass with the Red Boot Boys. He has been a member of the Eastern Tennessee Callers Association since 1977. He is on the staff and a member of 7 square dance festivals and weekends. As a member of the Red Boot Boys, he participates in many festivals and concerts conducted by the Red Boot Boys. He has been a member of CALLERLAB since 1980. He has served on the Recording Producer Committee and Dancing by Definition. Please help me welcome Wayne McDonald.
Thank you, Cal. Where'd you get all that stuff?
You sent it to
Oh, is that what I said?
That's called showmanship.
The subject is MC. Since Cal didn't, when he sent me the letter and asked me to do this, he didn't tell me what to say. So I had to come up with my own stuff. And what I've come up with is what I myself have tried to do, I will have to say, through at least 20 years of emceeing and showmanship, through various organizations that I have belonged to and jobs that I have held that almost required this. And I learned off right quick that there's a lot of rules you've got to go by to be an MC. And I would like to expound on these just a little bit. We'll tell you what they are, and then we'll go back and go over them one at a time, and then we'll go from there and turn it over to Frank. What is an MC? Number 1, an MC is respected. He can be trusted to do the job professionally. Number 2, he is well known. He is someone with a well-known reputation that will also be a drawing card to the function as well as the main entertainer or caller. He speaks clearly. He is understandable, and he is pleasing to listen to. He is well-dressed. He dresses for the occasion. He is a showman, and he is talented. He is entertaining to a degree. Remember that word degree. We'll go back to that. He's a quick thinker. He is prepared for any occurrence to turn it into an entertaining situation. He is prepared. He does his homework before the event. These are 7 points that I would like to talk about that I think that are very important. When you're calling a square dance, whether it be a club dance, a workshop, or whether it be a festival or anything, you are actually your own MC. Think about that. You're the guy that's got the microphone, or the lady, and you're the one that's emceeing yourself, whether it's your home club, a visiting club that you're visiting, or whatever. You are actually your own MC. Because it's your program. All right, let's go back over our points. Respected. If we break it down like this, an MC is respected by the promoters of the event due to past all-around performances, in that he has demonstrated the ability to do the job in the required manner in which the promoters expect. He is respected by the people that hire him to do this job. They know he can do the job, but the only way that they know that he can do the job is by past performances. He is well known. The MC is part of the all-around program. He must be well known and well liked by those in attendance, because he too is a draw card to the event. A lot of people may come just because they like the MC and he's a good friend of theirs, and they enjoy him. He speaks clearly. The MC must be at ease in the position to enable him to speak clearly. And how do you be at ease? You are prepared. Long before the event, you are prepared. And by being prepared, you will be at ease. He is well dressed. He checks ahead to find out what the occasion is. And pertaining to square dance, if it's a festival, you want to be well dressed for the festival, in a suit, etc., etc. If it's just a normal club dance and it's just something that you're passing through, and you're going to be the MC, a small organization or something, they're not expecting anybody, and they say, "Well, we dress casual." You don't want to show up dressed like Cal Golden. That's the guy here on the left.
Remember, I get the microphone.
But regardless of what the function is, the MC checks ahead of time, find out what is the dress. If you're doing, as I do sometimes, emceeing, for example, at the schoolhouse, a lot of the school teachers will want to roast the principal. I'm sure you all have seen what a roast is. I have been asked to do MC work to help roast the principal. Well, I don't go dressed like a school teacher, but I try to be one of the group. So you want to know ahead of time what's going on. I wouldn't show up in a black tie and something like that. But if I was going to be on the roast that's on television, I think I'd wear a black tie. An MC he is a showman, and he is talented. This is something right here that you kind of have to be a little bit careful about in your showmanship and in letting your talent come through. The MC must not overshadow the main performers or the main callers. Don't steal the show. Don't steal the show. The big name caller or performer or whatever, his name's on that flyer as well as yours. His name is probably on that flyer in larger letters than yours. And he is the main event. He's the reason people bought a ticket to come through the door to dance to him or to hear his entertainment. Don't overshadow him. If he's no good, maybe you ought to. Maybe you ought to steal the show to keep the show going. But anyway, keep the spotlight on the entertainer as much as possible. Let them see him, not you. That's what you're there for. That's your job. Your talent and showmanship must come through in the short period that you're focusing the spotlight on the main entertainment. And you can do that. You can do that through being prepared and through practicing. Practice what you're going to do. Practice what you're going to say. Know what you're going to do. Know what you're going to say before you pick the microphone up. Your job is to keep the program moving as the schedule requires. By being prepared, your showmanship and talent will come through automatically. Be a quick thinker. Be prepared for anything from the audience. Be prepared for anything. You'd be surprised how sometimes people can holler things from the floor at you, this, that, and the other. Get it moving, Jack, or something, you know. Be prepared for something. Don't put this guy down. Don't put him down. That's why I say be prepared. Let him win. Let him win. Let him down easy. Don't you lose, but there's a way. Let him down easy. But don't ignore him. That could be even worse, because that's a very put down. The most important thing that I have to say about this is the preparation. And everything that I have said and every point that I have made evolves right around this word preparation. Do your homework before the event. Know what you're going to do. Know what you're going to say. Research your subjects. Know a little bit about them. If Cal Golden was coming to call, you would want to know a little bit about Cal Golden. There may be somebody out in the world that hadn't never heard of him that's going to be an MC. Call Cal on the phone. Hey, Cal, I'm MCing 6 months from now. I want to know a little bit about you. You don't have to go into a long spiel about him, but you need to know a little bit something about him. Or anybody else. Do your homework on them. By being prepared, you will be doing the following. You will demonstrate your professionalism. You will draw respect from the promoters, clients, and attendees. You will speak more clearly with confidence. You will demonstrate your showmanship and your talent. And you will be rewarded by more bookings as an MC or the main event. It will prevent embarrassing errors which will do the wrong kind, which will draw the wrong kind of attention to you. Remember, after it's all been said over a microphone, it's been amplified through a speaker. And it sounds much louder coming out of the speaker than maybe you intended it to sound. And the reverberations are bounced back to the speaker that's holding the microphone. Think about that. Know what you're going to say. Be prepared. Don't wing it. Don't wing it. I'd like to talk just a little bit about showmanship versus show off. The dates are paid to be entertained and not turned off. As an MC or as a caller, you can really turn people off by going overboard and doing too much. Back off a little bit. Work your way up. Start out easy. Read the crowd. Learn how to read the crowd. This is very important. Is that the thing on wheels?
Yeah, it keeps going back and forth.
Okay.
That's so you can learn to relax.
Go easy. Not too much. Evaluate the crowd as you progress through your program. Adjust your showmanship to the reactions of the floor. Save a little bit for later on. Don't blow your whole program at first, because you got to have something to follow up with. You got 2.5 to 3 hours to be in front of the people with the microphone. So don't use your good stuff first. Build up the floor slowly and gradually to the peak and leave them waiting for more. And they'll have you back again. My 20 minutes isn't up, but I'm through.
Nice hand for Wayne McDonald. Thank you, Wayne. Our next speaker is from Estes Park, Colorado. He started dancing in 1939. He started calling in 1948. He has been a full-time traveling caller since 1953. He's a recording artist for Dance Ranch Records. He travels 9 months of the year, and in the summer months, he and his wife Barbara owns and operates a square dance hall in Estes Park, Colorado, where he holds also square dance callers college and round dance clinics during the summer. He has been on the staff of Kirkwood Lodge in Missouri since 1956 for 83 weeks. He also runs several other weekends around the country with other callers. He was one of the original 23 callers who organized CALLERLAB and has been a member of the Board of Governors since its inception. He has served on various committees in CALLERLAB and certainly been a right hand to it. He is one of the first 10 accredited caller coaches of CALLERLAB. He is a member of the Square Dance Hall of Fame of the American Square Dance Society in California. He is the recipient of the Milestone Award, the highest award given to an individual by CALLERLAB. I'd like for you to welcome Mr. Frank Lane, please.
There's going to be a lot of repetition because when Cal notified us we were going to be on the panel, he did not really outline exactly what we were supposed to do. And when you start talking about emceemanship, I'm sure we all think about the same thing. So you're going to hear a few of the same things that Wayne said, and I thought he said them very, very well. emceeing covers quite a wide scope, and Wayne intimated that. It isn't just emceeing a certain type of occasion, festivity, square dance. Let's just outline a few of the things that it could be. As the club caller, you may be called upon to MC a dance where you have hired a guest caller, and your primary duties are to welcome that caller, introduce the round dance cure couple, and help the guest caller with anything that might arise during the evening as far as being a caller's aid. And that's just about all there is in that type of emceeing. It's once you turn the microphone over to that gentleman, my theory is stay out of his way. Let him run that program. Another one of the facets of emceeing that we've become placed in the situation of doing is a multiple caller dance. This could be, there are several multiple caller clubs around the country that actually operate regularly with many callers on the program every night. The one that comes to my mind that, for instance, Cal and I are involved in very, very often over the period of a year is emceeing a program like the graduation dance of a caller's college, a caller's school, where you may be introducing 20 different callers, just like a festival situation, but it's not a festival. It's an intimate little dance, probably 15, 20 squares at the most. And so you're busy emceeing multiple callers, but not really in a festival situation. The next category would be probably the festival situation such as district or state festivals. And these begin to take on complexity, and they get to be large. They bring along with the complexity additional problems. Every time you get more complex, the situation involves more things for the MC to be involved with. Until you reach this last plateau of square dance emceeing, and that would probably be the National Convention, emceeing a portion of the National Convention of square dancing. Here almost it becomes less complex because it's so organized. The MC probably has an assistant MC who also has an assistant who's in charge of records, who also has an assistant who's in charge of checking in the callers, who also has an assistant who's in charge of rounding up the callers. So their emceeing becomes a team effort. And the man up at the microphone really has got the easy part. All the things that Wayne said about preparation and all, go into this, but he's got a staff working behind him. It actually becomes almost an organized staff of MCs at that level. Then the last MCing that we as square dance callers oftentimes get forced into doing, or I say forced, that's a bad word, but get the opportunity to do, is MCing such things as banquets, after parties, things that are really not a dance situation as such, but they are for square dancers or square dance callers. That's a different entity within itself. It's a different situation than working at a microphone before a group of dancers on a square dance floor. One of the first points that I had made was, do not assume, as the MC, that the people out there know who you are. Did you notice this afternoon? I had not talked to Cal about this, but when he walked up to this microphone, what was the first thing he did? He introduced himself. Don't assume that people out there know who you are. Tell them who you are and what you're doing there. This is a mistake that lots of us make. I have a little theory that I have nothing to back it up, but I still contend that in a large square dance hall, when you're calling to 40 or 50 squares, that the last 3 or 4 rows of dancers back there do not even know who's calling. They didn't come to the caller. They came to square dance. So, as the MC, not only introduce the other people, but introduce yourself. Get in command. The second point that I would like to make along this line is something that Wayne kept emphasizing, and we can't emphasize it enough, and that is be prepared for your job. Know your job. Do your homework before you arrive. As a result of this, you can stand up at that microphone and exude confidence, so the dancer will feel that the MC job is in capable hands. You've all been to situations where the MC was up there almost apologetically. You had the feeling, I feel so sorry for that fella. He wishes he wasn't there. Don't let you be one of those people. Stand up there and exude confidence, even though you're scared to death. Don't let anybody know. Make them think you're having a ball. Let's stray into something that Wayne didn't mention that I think is important to MC-wise. It would naturally take place in the lesser of the two, the smaller jobs of MCing I mentioned a while ago, and it can take place on that third big one. That's the one with the district or state festivals. I think as the MC, if at all possible, should be around and helping when the sound system is being installed. I think one of the most helpful things an MC can do is have complete knowledge of how the particular hall is being sounded. If you can't be there for the installation of it or helping with the installation of it, at least be there on time to where you can do some investigating or have whoever did install that sound system explain it to you so that you have a complete knowledge of how to make that sound system do its job the very best. Because the callers you're going to be introducing are going to be walking up there for a stint of what? 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 at the most probably. They want to come over the best they can those 6 minutes, and you as the MC owe that to them. So be sure that you can help the callers on that program by having a complete command and knowledge of the sound system that's out there doing the job in that hall. Another thing that I think Wayne intimated, but I don't think probably gave us much emphasis to as I would like to, it goes along with your homework, but be very certain of the names, the pronunciations of the person's name and his or her hometown. We've only got one name, and we're proud of it. And most of us are proud of our hometowns. I'm not sure some of our hometowns are proud of us sometimes. I've asked around Abilene, Texas, and nobody knows Marshall Flippo, but I don't blame... But we only have one name. And that person walks up there, and he may be, or she may be, a brand new caller. They want people to know their name. After all, they said, I'm on my way up. I need all the publicity I can get. I don't want to be introduced as someone else. So be sure that you do learn to pronounce the names. Get them right. Also, in most situations, and here you have to use judgment, since square dancing is and always has been, and I hope always will be, a couple activity, whenever possible, introduce the spouse or the partner. It's one thing we always are very, very careful with when Vaughn and I are working our callers' colleges together. And I think I learned that from Vaughn. I was careless about this. I would sometimes be remiss in the fact that I would get up and introduce Here's Jack Jones. I forgot to mention that Mary was there too. And Mary's a very important part of the picture. And so as the MC, if the situation allows, be sure to introduce the couple. I have also found that in the situation where you are in charge of introducing the round dance couple, especially round dance couples like to be known as Jim and Mary Smith, not Jim Smith doing the rounds. So a good clue to make yourself popular with your round dance people who you'll be working with, who are actually a part of your team. Okay, let's move on down to one other thing that Wayne said that I liked and I would like to emphasize more. Be yourself. You're the best thing about you is be yourself. Don't try to be someone else. We cannot all be comedians. We cannot all be flamboyant. We can all be enthusiastic. But I've seen a lot of fellows, or a few fellows at least, who have gotten up to MC in a big situation, and they could have done a beautiful, adequate job as themselves, and they tried to be someone else. I do not want to get up and be the MC the year after Dave Taylor has MC'd. That little fella has got more quick answers and cute things and beautiful jokes that are apropos to the situation, and it's a hard act to follow. And if I did, I certainly wouldn't try to do his thing. I'd try to play it straight down the line and do the thing that I can do, and I don't know what that is, but I'd find it, whatever it was. Be certain that this is one that I sometimes think some of our people in our business fail, and I worry about it. Be certain, or at least do your darndest, to keep all of your remarks in good taste. We get to be close friends, and some remark you might make in a small hotel after-party situation is not always apropos over a mic where you've got a captive audience, and they cannot get up and walk out without actually making a spectacle of themselves or making it obvious. So if you're the least bit in doubt, play it extra safe. Always be in good taste. Don't let the tasteless enter into our form of entertainment as it has many nightclubs. I mean, I used to enjoy going to nightclubs and to watch comedians and entertain it. I don't anymore. I don't have to sit around and listen to that stuff. I guess that's the one advantage to having a channel selector on your TV. I mean, I spend a great deal of time walking across the room turning it off. I don't want that sort of thing in my living room, and I certainly don't want it in square dancing, because square dancing has been awfully good to me, and I want to keep it that way. Okay, as the duties of the MC, one of the real primary ones is to keep that program running on time. Nothing more frustrating to a festival committee than an MC that lets the situation get out of control, and all of a sudden we're running 20 minutes, 22 minutes, 23 minutes behind schedule. Even with a large convention like this, do you remember the end of the first session this week? John says, one thing about running a convention is to keep it on time. I'd like to brag a little, we're 4 minutes early, let's adjourn. You know, that's important. Be on time. Keep that thing rolling. The MC has another very important duty to the caller who is being introduced and who is actually the star of the entertainment, and that is to make that caller at ease, the most at ease that he or she can be, and make them sound the very, very best. And the way you do that is to take any, what's the word we've been using all week? Stress. Take any stress you can from that person. Be sure that they are organized by helping them be organized. Meet them backstage. Be sure they have their music ready. If we're working with recorded music, be sure that you know which side of the record they're going to work with. And I would suggest you put the side of the record up.
Try not to mess it up.
Try not to mess it up. But if somebody's going to mess it up, why don't you mess it up? Take the stress off of them. Because especially a lot of new callers are scared to death. And in many situations, it's even advantageous to help place the needle on the record. I should have brought along our little essay that Vaughn and I used about exuding confidence and all that bit the first time you try to put a needle on a record at a square dance. I'm sure most of you have heard of it. I think Cal used it at his school. We use it. It's a good deal. But then you'll all of a sudden become faced with a situation of doing a MC job at a festival where we are using live music. And many, many, many of these callers have never had the opportunity to work with live music. That's a frightening experience. I don't care how well you've practiced your stress solution. It ain't going to work. Because when you reach around and point to that band and say, go, you're hoping it's going to sound something like something you've heard before. Well, you as the MC can at least give this gal or guy this advantage. You can make sure it's going to be the right tune. You can make sure it's going to be in the right key. And like I say, if they aren't sure, you can have a period of practice time before the dance or the festival. When we're working with live music, we always try to get every caller who's going to appear to be there an hour or two before this festivity, so that he and the band are in complete agreement about what's going to happen music-wise. The other thing you can be sure of is be sure that Arnie Cronenberg is not standing behind you.
Or in front of you.
No, he used to get behind me. I was working with Jack and Lunette, and I would get the tempo going just about like I wanted it, and Arnie was standing back there going... Don't know about him. Okay. These are the main points. We're going to have plenty of time for question and answer and discussion, but these are the main points I would like to make. MCing also at this first level of club dancemanship has a couple of little minor things that I thought maybe we could suggest some ideas about that aggravate me as the caller some nights when I'm not MCing. I'm being MC'd. And if you are in the other end of the situation, you are MCing, you might think about correcting these. There's nothing more disconcerting, I don't think, than stopping a dance in the middle for a series of announcements. There is one or two things worse: drawing for door prizes. There's one thing worse than that: drawing for the 50-50. I have ideas about this. They make bulletin boards for this purpose. I'm not against 50-50s. I'm not against door prizes. I won one once. And also, I realize we do have to announce up-and-coming events. And announcing one for this particular group that you're working for is fine. But to stand up there and for 15 minutes read announcements of up-and-coming dances and use 20 minutes out of this man's program and destroy a mood that he has created through his programming is not fair. So if you're MCing, take this into consideration. Put the announcements on a bulletin board. Put the announcement of who won the 50-50 on the bulletin board. Give the man a ticket when he comes in for the door prize and post the numbers on each of the prizes and let him go check and see if they won one. Fine. Big deal. But don't destroy the man's program who's up there working his heart out trying to entertain your dancers. That's about all I'm going to do for right now. And like I say, we'll have questions and answers later, because I'm sure we're going to have some time, because Cal has nothing to say. He's always...
Thank you, Mr. Frank Lane. Why don't everybody stand up for just a second and stretch your legs just for a minute? Okay, everybody down. This is being taped.
Now close your eyes.
All righty. Our next speaker is from Los Gatos, California, where he and his wife Norma are full-time professional school teachers. He started square and round dancing in 1965. He started calling in September of 1973 and has been active ever since. He calls 3 nights per week, beginner plus and advance. He does weekend festivals and one-night stands throughout California, and we've had a lot of reports that he is very popular in the California area. And he has been a member of CALLERLAB since 1979. He is currently serving as chairman of the Education Committee of CALLERLAB. Please welcome Mike Degmetich, please. Say it correctly.
The first thing I'm going to speak on is the pronunciation correctly of the name of the individual that you're going to introduce. I'd like to thank Mr. Gilden. But my name is pronounced Degmetich. Anyway.
I worked on it for a week.
Obviously did a poor job. Anyway, somebody with a California license plate number CAF323, you left your lights on. How many times have you come up on a stage and had somebody do that to you? And, you know, one of the things as an MC is you've got to keep those kind of things in control. One of the things that happens is you've made all these beautiful notes and you're all set to go, and sure enough, just as you get ready to start, the notes fall on the floor, and you're fumbling around looking for it, because at that point you contract amnesia, and there is no way that you can remember the fact that Marshall Flippo is going to be calling next. You know, you just don't know his name. And that can happen. So as an MC, if anything Wayne said that's important, be prepared. You've got to be prepared for those kind of things to happen. Now I'm going to find out whether any of you remember anything that these two fellows in front of me said. This is a test. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your thumb and I want you to put it right in front of you, right in front of your chest. Now if you think that Frank said this, you keep your thumb up. If you think Wayne said it, you point your thumb to the side. All right, are you ready? Now we're going to check. All right. Which one said that you should have a sound check? Would it be Frank or Wayne? Sound check. Very good. I see that most of you have your thumbs up. That's the proper response to that. If you had your thumb to the side, we'll wake you up in just a minute. How many of you said that you should know and be able to pronounce correctly the names of the people you're going to introduce? Was it Frank or was it Wayne? I see that most of you still have your thumb up, and that's the proper response for that. How many of you who said that you should not be a star, but make sure that the caller is the one who wins as a star? Was it Frank or was it Wayne? Which one is the response? I see that most of you have your thumb pointed to the side, and that's correct. That's what Wayne said. Very good. All right. Which one said that you must maintain control when you're on stage? Was it Frank or was it Wayne? I see a slight dichotomy among you, and that's correct. Both of them said that. That's very good. Anyway, one of the things that you have to do as an MC is try not to make it too serious. You're up there to allow these people to have a good time, but you have to recognize your role as an MC. And I see that Frank took all of my stuff, and what he didn't take, Wayne had already said. So I don't really have a whole lot to say. I think I'll sit down at this point. Anyway, one of the things that... Excuse me, but this is showmanship. One of the things that I've been frequently asked to MC is a fashion show, in addition to the other things that these gentlemen have mentioned as far as dances and festivals. But fashion show has its own unique characteristics as far as an MC is concerned. First of all, you need to have at least a good wife or an excellent partner or a friend who will lend you his partner for that day. Because I don't know the first thing about a woman's dress or their clothing or how they're going to walk down the aisle, but as long as you have someone that can help you perform that duty, you can really come up with some interesting things as you do an MC. But be prepared. There are those kinds of activities that you can also be an MC for. I listed some of the things that I felt you should know, because if you know this, it's going to make it so much easier for you if you're ever called on as an MC. Wayne listed 7 points that he had. Now, I'll be honest with you, I only found one that agreed with mine. I agreed with what he said, but I have 6 others that I thought you might be interested in. One of the things, I like to start on time. I can't stand it when it's 5 or 10 minutes after. The dancers are out there clapping their hands, And what's happening? The MC is still over figuring out what the guy's name is and how to pronounce it.
Practice don't always make perfect. It makes permanent.
Letting that lie. Another time for a sound check, Frank had a good point. Make sure you know what the sound is and that you've done a sound check yourself before the dance begins. Then, as you get ready to introduce the caller for the evening and the round dance cure and his wife, and you're off the stage, the first thing your job is to go out there and make sure that that caller can be heard clearly by everyone in the hall. And if you don't do that, you've missed out on one of the most important jobs that you have. Then the second thing you have to recognize that the caller is not the same thing as the round dance cure. And they may have a totally different voice, totally different projection, and be out there when the round dance cure is also doing his first round so that you can help them get started on the right foot. Nothing starts a dance out worse than when the last 10 squares have no idea what the caller is saying and they've got their hand up, we can't hear in the back. That's your job as an MC. And if you don't do that, you've lost at the very outset of your dance. One of the things that neither one of these gentlemen mentioned was the fact that you should be prepared for a grand march. Most festivals have a grand march, and you should have some sort of a preparation for that if you're doing a festival. Have a record that you can put on for the grand march music, and if you don't have one, Cal Golden will sell you one. He has plenty of them that work well for grand marches. I know, I thought I'd put that in. I have seen this happen at the opening session of the baseball season when the gentleman who was saying the Star-Spangled Banner forgot the word. All I can say is don't know the words, because that's going to happen to you if you have the Star-Spangled Banner and you get ready and you start and you can't remember the Star-Spangled Banner or you can't remember the pledge. You leave out a word. That not only is it embarrassing, but because this is such a powerful tool, you have projected that to everyone in the audience. And it has happened. I can't think of it. It was Robert Goulet or somebody that was the opening one of those things, and he couldn't remember the words. He lost the words. So he hummed it very well, but make sure you have some helpers. Make sure you have helpers that know what they're going to do, because if they don't know what they're supposed to do in the Grand March, you've lost the Grand March also. Make sure that they know the plan that you have come up with. And, of course, that precludes the fact that maybe you have a plan. So have a plan for a Grand March and make sure that you know what you're going to do when you have it. Frank also talked about the introductions, and, of course, Cal made it easy for me to point this out. But just like the gentleman last night at our banquet last night what was it, Carlton Holler? I can't remember his name, but John, when he introduced him, and it was kind of embarrassing for that guy. He didn't know they'd mispronounced it, but it kind of set everybody that was in the audience that heard him mispronounce it. Most of us said, oh, they must have set him up. That's what I thought. They set him up to pronounce it. And then I talked to John, and he said, nope, he just mispronounced my name. So it's an embarrassment if you don't know what their names are. Make sure you know who your VIPs are, and put together a name and a face. There's nothing more embarrassing than to introduce the wrong person. You're here it is. I'd like you to introduce you to Marshall Flippo, and there's Frank Lane standing there. It's kind of embarrassing because you don't know. They are. Same age, but other than that, I don't know either. Nice to see you. Also, I could tell you, I won't digress and tell you an experience that I had, but I can tell you this can happen, and it has happened to me. Know the partner of the caller you're introducing. Don't introduce his wife when it isn't his wife. I never make that mistake again. I can tell you. We all made it once, believe me. And so make sure that if you're introducing a caller and his wife, and you find out what her name is, make sure it's the same name as the caller that you're introducing. Wayne talked about maintaining control on stage. I see some of us have had the same experience. But Don't let unauthorized people on the stage, like Arnie Connerberg back here, messing with your music or something. Make sure that the people that are on stage are those that are authorized, because nothing is more disconcerting to a caller. You're calling along, and all of a sudden, here comes that TV camera right in your ear with the bright lights, and you don't know it's coming there. If you know it's going to happen, and you know they're going to do some photographing or pictures or movie camera, that's okay. But when they just all of a sudden they turn on the camera and the lights brighten up, and you're in the middle of calling something, or the caller is in the middle of calling something, it's disconcerting. So don't allow that to happen to your callers. Make sure that they know what's going to occur on stage, and don't let unauthorized people on stage when you can help it. Try to eliminate and control disruptions, like that thing of the car license plate or somebody getting on stage. Don't let them have you take care of it. You're the MC. You're the one who's in charge. Deal with it yourself. What happens if there's an accident on the floor? Somebody has a heart attack. Do you have a plan to take care of that situation? Most callers that I know are prepared for that. They know what they would do in that situation. But as an MC, you should know certain things. First of all, is there a telephone nearby, and do you know where it's located? Can you tell somebody, go out that door and call an ambulance, please? The telephone is just outside there. Do you know what to do in that situation? Be prepared for that kind of a situation, because it has happened. I know when we were up in Reno a couple of years ago, we had 2 heart attacks on the stage during that one weekend. So you need to know what you should do as an MC if that does occur. Know where the exits are. What if a fire were to start in the hall? You should be able to quietly and calmly tell the people how to get out of there and where the exits are. So make sure that you know what you're doing. Be in control on stage at all times. That's the important thing. Frank also mentioned about maintaining continuity in the program. Make sure that if you have talked to the caller, and the caller says, at the end of my tip, I like to put the record on the music low for about a minute before the round dance cue starts. Say, fine, I'll take care of that. When you finish yours, I'll turn the music down and I'll put the record on, and then go to the round dance cue and tell him, as soon as his record runs out about a minute, please start the rounds at that point. If he doesn't say anything and you've asked him and he doesn't care, tell the round dance cure. Say, I want you to start within 1 minute after after he's finished his tip, or whatever you have determined as the time element. But let them know so that they know you're in charge, and don't allow this 5 or 10 minute delay before someone gets up there ready to start. Be up there and you be in charge at all times, and they'll appreciate, the dancers will appreciate, the caller and cure will appreciate it more. One of the things that I've always tried to do at a festival is that after the first tip, there's typically, everybody is out there, they're kind of greeting their friends, they want to say hello to everybody. I usually give a little bit more of a delay time before I allow the round dance cure to come on, but before he comes on, I ask the dancers, as the authority figure, would you please clear the center of the hall so that the round dancers will have an opportunity to do their dance. If you don't do that, you make the round dance teacher, place him in an awkward position. Then he has to be an authority figure, and he shouldn't have to play that role. So you do the clearing of the floor, and it makes it easier for him. Be aware of these transition times. Don't let the thing drag. Keep it going. Keep it moving. Don't allow it to drag down. Keep the things rolling along. Make announcements when appropriate. Don't let somebody come up and say, this car is out there, and did you do that? And or let anyone else take over the mic. You take care of it. You and the cuer and the caller are the people that take care of the mic. Be available at all times. Nothing is more irritating than to be calling myself and have the MC nowhere in sight, and someone has just told me that they have to find so-and-so. And so I have to do that announcement, and I may not know what the situation is. You as the MC should be available at all times, near the stage, on the stage, or be prepared for that. Close the program correctly. My last point. Allow an opportunity for the caller and the cure to be introduced once more. Maybe you square him up for the last tip and bring him on with a nice applause. Let the people show their appreciation for the caller and the cure for that evening. Have some music for clearing the hall. Have some nice danceable music, or some nice music that you can put on, a record that you can put on at the end, so that as the people are leaving the hall, people aren't just tearing down the equipment at that point. Allow them a couple, 5 or 6 minutes to clear the hall without having any problems. 2 things that I felt, and I felt Wayne made a very important point about it. Don't be the star. The star is the caller. The star is the cure. You are a facilitator, and that's all you are. And when you start being a star, you're taking away from them. And you should never do that. And I can't emphasize more what Frank said. Off-color remarks have no place going through this microphone. And you have to be very much in control of that kind of situation. Finally, as a close, I would like to just maybe briefly go over these, and you better watch out, because I may test you on these. Okay? I really think you need to have these things to be a good MC. Be aware of the time. Be aware of timing things and timeliness as you're going through it. Sound check the hall. Don't ask anybody else to do it. You make sure it's what you think it should be. Be prepared for a variety of circumstances, because whatever you thought wouldn't happen will happen. Maintain control at all times on stage, and keep a program continuity so that the program goes along and is a good program for you. And I thank you.
Mike Degmetich. Before I go into this, I'd like to tell you a little joke about timing. Marshall Flippo was calling a dance in a little country town, and they had a young couple doing the rounds. So the round dance leader asked Marshall, said, "When shall I put the round on?" Marshall said, "Give them about 3 minutes and then put the round on." Well, every time Marshall would pick up the needle to lay it over, that new round dance instructor was there and got it before it hit the little holder. And Marshall was calling quite a number of tips, and he asked the gentleman again to slow down. And the fellow was just a little nervous working with Marshall. So pretty soon, one of the tips, he come running back to Marshall. He said, "Marshall, part of that record player is missing." Marshall said, "I know." and said in 3 minutes, "I'll give it back to you." There's always ways to do things. Mike and I had this little thing all worked out so that we could show you to study your lesson plan. I'll bet you I've studied his name 1,000 times. Let's talk about showmanship. What is it? How do we use it as square-inch callers? There is a gentleman by the name of Liberace. Somebody wrote him a letter and asked him, "What do you owe most of your success to?" Liberace's answer was, "To showmanship more than talent. There are millions who can sing like I can and play the piano better. But I created the person. The crazy suits, the hairstyle, the shoes. No one else did that in this business. Image is everything. The trouble with entertainers today is that they have no sense of showmanship and what to give, and to give the impression that they are like the folks next door. But let's face it, do I look like someone who lives next door to you? Showmanship. In schools for about 5 years, I handed out a piece of paper to all of our students and asked them to give me their impression of showmanship. And it was really quite interesting to listen to all of these different versions of showmanship. We've got everything that's available that we could possibly get a hold of, and do you know that there is no book that I am aware of that's ever been written on showmanship? If you find it, please share it with us. Showmanship is the art of selling yourself and your talent to others. Showmanship to me is also Phil Donahue, Johnny Carson, Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Johnny Cash, Dolly Parton, Barbara Mandrell, Richard Dawson, Roy Clark, John Ritter, Bob Hope, Dean Martin, Liberace, and so on. Paul Harvey is an entertainer. Especially President Ronald Reagan. If I could sell you on a budget of $1.5 million, wouldn't that be great? He's done all right. And many others. These people are entertainers and showmen in their own profession. Showmanship is taking the skills you have, whether you came by them naturally or by working hard, projecting them to an audience or a crowd, making the people watch, listen, participate with you when you do what you like to do best. Showmanship is having a high energy level that comes from within. You have got to have an energy level to share with your audience. How about the gentleman last night with the ropes? I'd say he had a real high energy level. He really worked, didn't he? But he was a showman. And the mule didn't do bad either. You must be excited about what you are doing so your audience can get excited with you. Be a salesman, too. My personal feeling about showmanship is that it makes people laugh, enjoy whatever they are participating in. In other words, being able to create an illusion in people's mind and their attitudes. If you don't sing like Ken Bauer or Elmer Sherfield, turn the music up a little louder. It sounds better. It's called showmanship. A real showman is an individual who has the ability to convey people that what he is saying and doing is exactly what they have been waiting to hear. Showmanship is the ability to put on a good show, also ability to set a good example for others. Even if a showman is not feeling his best, he must make everybody else feel they are having the best time of their lives. You can't bring your troubles to this. Your stage setting and personal appearance go into it, but it boils down to helping people have a good time. Showmanship should be changeable as the weather. If it is below zero outside, warm up the entertainment inside. If it's hot outside, make it cool inside. Showmanship is presenting yourself to others in the way you want them to see you, an entertaining way, to make them want to be involved with you in things that you're doing. How does showmanship pertain to a square dance caller? Number one, your personality. You need a pleasing personality behind the microphone that people will want to do what you want. Let me tell you something. All three of them have said, be yourself. The only person that I know in the world can get away with this is that little old Flippo. He can get up on the microphone and say, now, folks, I want to teach you a little something here, but I'm not really sure I know how it goes, and he's lying all the time. And the women out there say, we got to help Marshall. Now, right now, Marshall's 3 kisses behind me, and I'd like to make it a little more before the evening's over. After this session's over, we'd like all of you fellows to join on that side and shake hands with these wonderful presenters up here. All you girls, get over here with me. The reason people are not jealous for Marshall Flippo and I kissing the girls, Marshall's too little and I'm too old. Your dress, your stance. How many callers do you see a lot of times with their hands in their pockets? You never want to do anything with your hands in your pocket like this. Just as sure as you do, the caller's going to holler, swing your partner, now you stand. He thought about the guy on the mule last night. That's what he did. Your voice is so important. This voice is so important. The people know when you're feeling good. I had my people got on me if they said I was a little rough with them in the class. One lady called me one night and she says, does Sharon feed you tonight? And I said, yeah. She said, you was a little grouchy last week. The music that you use, you need a variety of music to entertain dancers. It can't all be up against the wall. You know, you take a singing call like Something About You, Baby, I Like. You realize when you turn that music up and you go, 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 go 7 times through, what have you got? Sameness. What if you took the introduction and really cranked it up and then you turned it down for the 2 figures? You cranked it back up on the middle break. You turned it back down. You cranked it up again. What have you got? Variety, and you're entertaining your dancers. Music is important. How you use it. Your attitude towards other people is part of this business. If you see people in the back having a problem, don't get off the stage, walk back there. You folks want me to show you how it goes? Walk back there and say, how you doing? Is everything all right? If they want your help, they'll ask you. This is part of the business. How you hold your microphone. It only took us 1 session to get that gentleman straightened out from Texas on how to hold a mic. What was his name, Frank? Arden Hopkins. Yeah. I just about died the day he said, put the microphone down here. Let me ask you a question. If you believe this, that microphone ought to go there, why don't we all get 1 cup and drink out of it? I don't want your disease, and I don't want you to have mine. Marshall Flippo's going to trench mouth anyway. That's why you girls are not to be kissing him. How you hold that microphone? Just thought I'd throw that out. The volume of your music. It can't be too loud and it can't be too soft. The quality of the PA system is important. The enthusiasm in your voice. Can't you just see a guy getting up, squirting, going, well, I want you folks to have a good time tonight. I mean, they're really excited, aren't they? Pay attention. The desire to please people. The desire. Have a burning desire to really want to please those people. And you know, remember one thing, if you will, please. I'm just an old country boy from Arkansas working my way through Arizona. The Bible says you can't live by bread alone. Friends, I'm here to tell you can't live by choreography alone either. Think about it, okay? When does people have the most fun? When they're going through class. And I wonder why we're in such a hurry to get them out when they're having the time of their life. Preparation. You must be prepared. I've never seen a person yet overly prepared to do a job, but I've seen a few come up short. Knowledge of what you're doing and the knowledge of what you're talking about. We're never going to learn it all, folks. There's always room to improve. Communications, ability on the stage to communicate to people. Showmanship is being able to sell your product. Turn people on. Get them to enjoy your efforts. Make people like what you're doing. Give an exciting program. Make an excellent presentation. Get a hold of attention. Develop original style. Use good material. Have the ability to put it over. Attract attention with good taste. Get good reaction from the crowd. Use your own attributes to get across to people. Read people. Give them what they want. Be able to use on-the-spot judgment about programming. Project your own skill. Have the audience enjoy them. Have something above average to offer. Develop confidence in handling people. Be able to make people want to be involved in what you're doing. Listen, one thing don't ever do, don't ever get up over the microphone and say, are you having a good time? Boy, we're so happy you folks are enjoying what we're presenting. Give yourselves a big hand. Come on, let's hear it. Do that, would you? Go ahead, give yourself a big hand. Don't ever ask people if they're having a good time. Say, we're sure happy that you folks had a good time this evening. Why put doubt in their mind?
They may take a vote.
If they take a vote, you've had it. Transform enthusiasm from you to the audience. Make the show good. Give people fun and a desire to come back. Make people feel better when they leave a dance by helping them forget their troubles. Be a showman. Present things theatrically and dramatize it. Work on it. The caller who uses showmanship successfully is the one who retains dancers, the one who can bring together the dancers, the music, the choreography, and himself in an atmosphere of fun and fellowship. Think about this. A young lady by the name of Barbara Mandrell, probably one among the few most versatile entertainers in this country, had this to say about entertaining and showmanship. Success is 20% talent and 80% determination. Think about that. Duties and responsibilities of a master of ceremony. They are big in scope, and if you have watched some of the telethons, you have seen what a tremendous job being an MC can be when you're running a 24-hour or a 20-hour telethon. Let's take Jerry Lewis, for instance. Think of the number of people that he introduced, and yet he's able to do an outstanding job by introducing each person on their own demerits. Let's look at Bob Hope. How many people does this man... What'd you say, Frank? We missed that. Put it on the mic.
Their own demerit?
Demerit. Thank you, Frank. I needed that, Frank. I was afraid you'd gone to sleep on me. Bob Hope, Johnny Carson. Really and truly, if you've watched even John Ritter when John was running these telethons and seeing the job that he does introducing each one of these individuals on the things that they have done and the things that they have created, records and the shows and things that they have been on. Johnny Carson does this every night. Red Skelton was on his show the other night, and Red told him that he thought that Johnny Carson was one of the greatest entertainers in the business, because where Will Rogers could take one show and carry it all the way across the country, every night Johnny Carson's got to have a new show, and this is very true. It is an honor and a privilege to be asked to be a master of ceremony of a given function. The first responsibility an MC is to the square dancers. He should never perform in any manner that might discredit square dancing or its leadership. The second responsibility is to the audience. He should use good taste, good judgment, and the best of his entertainment ability. His third responsibility is to himself. He should neither say or do anything to cause the loss of respect from other people. Selecting a master of ceremonies. This is very important. This was brought out before. Make sure the individual is capable of doing the job. The main reason for an introduction is to offer the audience with a brief resume of an individual and to present that person in the best possible light that you can. Here today that we have rounded up information on these individuals that have presented things to you today. And notice several things that we didn't ask. Number one, we did not say their names at the beginning. Although the two that were married, we also mentioned their wife's name. After we gave a brief resume of what they had accomplished, the last thing I said was, welcome, and stated their name. So remember this. If you start out and say, our next caller is Frank Lane, introduction is dead. You've lost it all right there. Give what this person has done, a brief resume of what this person has done. And then the last thing you do is tell their name. If it is time for the program to begin and there's no one present to introduce the MC, he should introduce himself to the audience from the stage. Remember, Frank pointed this out. The first thing I did was introduce myself when I came out here. Welcome the group on behalf of the sponsoring organization. Folks, this next thing, it was hit on a grand march. If a grand march is planned at the opening event, the MC may first introduce certain officers, dignitaries, by having them together with their partners. Approach the stage, form a line, face the audience. When introductions are completed, these officers may want to do a California twirl and face and then start your grand march. Another thing that I have done, you may think about this. I have got my wife involved very deeply into this because I feel like that it's a couple's activity and the wife doesn't really get involved as much as they possibly should so that they feel a part of this. Many times when we have a lot of people to introduce, I ask Sharon to do the introduction of the people. I'm down front organizing the grand march. This makes her feel a part of what we are doing. Plus, she majored in English, and that way there's no mistakes. One of the things I'd like to point out to you, if you're going to be an MC, people think you are responsible. I did an MC job one time for a festival. After the grand march was over, the people actually stood on the floor 45 minutes listening to people welcome, speech, and all of this. They asked me to do it again. I've never did that festival again as an MC because I would not do this. I really say this very sincerely. If there are people to be introduced, do it before the grand march. After that grand march is over, you go beyond 3, 4, 5 minutes has got to be maximum. I'd rather say 3. After that grand march is over, you're skating on thin ice. The two people that should be up there is the chaplain and whoever's going to welcome the people. And if it's the governor, tell him he's got 3 minutes, or he'll take a half hour. You better do this because everybody shows that you are responsible. Important in preparing, you can never be overly prepared. You need to get information. I wrote all 3 of these gentlemen a letter, and I asked them to send me some things about themselves. I asked them questions. They all replied. You have to do a lot of preparing if you're going to do a good job of emceeing and know what you're talking about. Sound is very important. I always like to check out the sound in the hall to see. If you'll notice, we were checking out the sound here before we started because you stand out the door, you can't hear. Mic techniques and your PA system. Never leave the audience in doubt about what you said. Make sure everybody can hear. Make sure it's not too loud and it's not too soft. Your program is most important. Write it out ahead of time. Study it. Be thoroughly familiar about it and how it's going to run. Changing situations. Don't let changes upset you because it's liable to happen. Maybe a caller could not make it on time. Maybe he had a flat tire or something. Changes will happen in a program, so be prepared for this. Your appearance. Take a good look at yourself. What's on the inside is important, but also what's on the outside is very important. You're covering up 96% of your body, so make sure that it looks good. Emergencies. Don't panic. If you call long enough and you work with people long enough, someone is going to have a heart attack in front of you. It's happened to me twice that people have died in front of me with heart attacks. Don't panic. Ask for a doctor. Remember what Mike said, know where the phone's at. Ask for a nurse or a corpsman, someone that can help you. The main thing is don't you panic. The duties and responsibilities of an MC. About 7 years ago, I wrote 120 letters to callers all over the United States and to Canada. And I asked them to give me one line of what they thought was the duties and the responsibilities of an MC. Frank Lane replied. Von Parrish replied. We got back 80 letters out of 120 that I wrote. Here was some of the things that these people said. Keep the program moving and on time. Be able to conduct a grand march. Be able to advise the club on speakers and announcements. After the grand march, only the speaker is to welcome the dancers, should be on the stage. Be able to put everyone at ease. The MC is the go-between for the dancers and all other parts of the program. He should have background knowledge of the individuals he's going to introduce. He should build up the individual he is introducing as much as possible. There's always something good to be said about somebody. Remember what Will Rogers said. He should make the dancers look forward to the individual that's going to call. He must announce the caller's name clearly and tell where he is from. And if you'll notice, after each one of these individuals finished speaking, we also announce their name again. He should make sure the floor is ready before starting his introduction. So many times I've heard an MC and seen an MC work and that you couldn't hear a thing. How do you get people to pay attention? All you got to do is put that record on and say, bow to your partner, corner two, lift it up and say, our next caller comes from. You've got their attention. There's another way to get it. Don't ever go shh over the microphone. It's very irritating to the ears. Tell them to shut up, but don't do that. He should use the caller's hoedown to get people on the floor in order to check the volume and the tempo. He must be able to communicate with people on a friendly but professional basis. Give out enthusiasm. Motivate people to want to dance. Be able to pep up and otherwise drag you even. An MC is the captain of the ship. He is a fast, quick, outstanding salesman for each caller. Be able to handle unexpected emergency. An MC should know how much or how little to say at the correct time. People, introducing somebody is so important, and I'm sure that Frank Lane and other callers that's traveled a lot have been introduced by many, many people. I've been called everything from Roy Rogers to Liberace. But I remember one night when a caller introduced me, and he said, well, Sharon couldn't come, so she sent her dummy. I walked out on the stage, and I just stood there for about I guess 30 seconds, and you can heard a pin drop. I said, hello, folks, my name's Johnny Cash. A toastmaster for the evening. An MC is responsible for bringing the caller and the crowd together in the very best possible manner. One of the things you need to do if you're introducing another caller is to make that caller feel relaxed, make him look forward to calling to the dancers, and make the dancers look forward to dancing to him. Tell people you're going to enjoy this caller because he's going to enjoy calling for you. We're going to stop at this time and try to answer any questions that you may have to our panelists here. So, not if I can help it. If you got to go, it's out that door and to the left, hey. Normally, here's another thing. Preparation can help things like this. The gentleman asked, how about the bathroom? Do you announce that? Sometimes if it's out of a way place, you have to, because people do have to go now and then, especially if the calling's not too good. A lot of them go. It's amazing what you can hear if things aren't going bad. You might need to go to the restroom yourself because you can hear a lot of things going on in that restroom, especially if you're not doing too good a job. When you come up and ask a question, would you please use this microphone? We're open now for questions from the floor. Take your time, but hurry.
Brian Hotchkiss, Australia. Somebody said about the restroom. When you're introducing the restroom, I think you could probably say it's down the corridor and around to the right, and if you mention my name, you'll get a good seat. But what? How much emphasis should be placed on introducing a caller a second or third time during the evening? And another question, what's the best way to help a caller that is very nervous prior to going on?
Right, why don't you take that first?
I, for one, don't like to be introduced a second or third time for the evening. And when I'm emceeing, I never do. You introduce the person at the beginning of the evening, and at the closing of the evening, you thank he or she for having been there and done a great job. But as far as introducing them again after intermission or after announcements, no.
If there were more than one caller, and each caller was coming back, say, twice.
I see your question, Brian. We have done this on numerous occasions and probably done it different ways, but there again I relate right back to what I just said. I do not believe that person has to be introduced again. You might say, and here comes Cal back again for the second time.
I would say that. Just say their first name, and here he is back, and go with it.
We told you his credentials the first time we introduced him. You now know all the things that he has done and the reason he is so famous. And now all you have to know is, here comes Cal again for the second time this evening. Let's welcome him to the stage. That's my answer there. What was the second part of your question now, Brian?
What's the best way to help a caller that's nervous?
Well, I tried to emphasize that a while ago. If it's a canned music situation where you are using records, I often just take over the handling of that record for the man. I'll place the record on the turntable. I'll tell him, when you're ready, tell me, I'll place the needle for you.
And if it's your PA system, you certainly want to protect the needle.
Well,
next question, please. Shall we get on as many as we can?
Glenn Rahop from Kent, Washington. How do you all feel about, let's say that you're a major traveling caller of coming into the area, and me as a club caller, as the MC, of being a second set of eyes and ears, telling you that maybe you're calling too high a level for my dancers, or kind of keeping you informed of how the dancers are responding to you?
Go ahead, Mike.
I don't think there's any caller who calls to a large group of people that can't get that feedback from your dancers. I don't think I need anybody to tell me if I'm doing a poor job. I feel it. It's there. You'll know it.
Next question.
My name's Randy Prescott from Mount Lake Terrace, Washington. This thing is too low. We have up in Vancouver, BC, they have a festival up there every summer that they run a real quick program, and they have 13 tips per evening, and every tip is split with a caller. One does a patter call, one does a singing call. You do a long introduction on these guys. That's 24 guys you got to introduce. 30 seconds, that's 12 minutes out of your program. How long do you want to really take to bring a guy onto the stage? You take too much time, and the dancers are going to be staying there for a long time not dancing.
The way I would do that, if you have split tips with several callers and you're talking about a real quick program, I don't think I could give a long spiel about each one. I think I would get up at the very beginning of the dance and introduce the staff.
This typically happens at an after party, and I really don't believe that that's the time. I think just an introduction of their name is appropriate at that point.
Name and hometown, I think, are sufficient in that situation.
One of the things that might help out here a little on something. A lot of times callers are calling and people don't applaud when they finish. They're in a big circle and they're going like Maytag washers and they're doing this. They're saying thank you. I don't know. Maybe you sound great on that last 8 beats of that singing call, but I'll tell you, when people started doing that, if I'm calling a dance, it don't take me long. While those last 8 beats are playing, I'm saying, bow to your partner in your corner too. Now give yourself a big hand. I need that hand. Applause to a caller is like making love to an old maid. You can't overdo it. Go ahead, sir.
Ethel Affleck from Auckland, New Zealand. This is probably 2 questions in one. What is your opinion of an MC actually being on the program as well as the other callers when you are in a festival situation? Also, what is your opinion of a caller who steps in for a missing caller during the program and calling his tip?
I may have to ask you further about that second part of the question. The first part of the question, I think, is built into good programming by whoever's planning this festival or this occasion. If I'm going to MC the first hour, I think some official of the festival should introduce me. If they don't, I will introduce myself. I will call the first tip and then carry that introduction program as we've outlined for you all afternoon here through to the conclusion of my period of MCing, and I will be sure to introduce the MC who is to follow me the next hour. This is the way we do things at national conventions here. Actually, one man has it for an hour. Usually the MC for the next hour will call the last tip that hour and be introduced as the ensuing MC, or he will call the first tip of the next hour and you will stay and introduce him before you depart. Your duties are not over until you have actually introduced and turned it over to him. The second part of your question about a caller failing to show up, are you intimating that ethically whether a person should fill in for someone? Is that your question?
He's actually the MC, and the caller didn't show up, and another caller is going to take his place. I believe that's the way he says. Is that correct? That one caller didn't show up, and someone's going to take his place. Was that correct?
That's what I meant, Cal, that the MC has stepped in and done the call for the caller who has not shown up. Now, is it ethical for the MC to do that, or should he call one of the other callers back who was previously on the program?
I think that if there is no standby callers who have not been on the program, there oftentimes is a standby list. Someone who is not going to call on the program unless such an emergency arises. Then I myself probably would suggest that the MC fill in himself. Otherwise, he's playing favorites by reaching back and asking one of the preceding callers to call twice. I myself would rather do it that way.
I agree with that.
A lot of times when you have several callers at a festival, you will have a printed schedule with times and allotments where a caller. Sometimes you can't call one of these callers back to stay on your schedule, and you have to have that caller to the MC to step in and do the calling to stay with your schedule. Let me give you one quick thing. I called the Autumn Promenade for several years in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and I was also the MC. But there's no way I could roam from hall to hall and MC. So we introduced the staff and their wives at the first of the dance. We passed the mic on the first tip. Then after that, I introduced each caller individually as he came to the main hall. And then there was no more introductions because I went on to my calling duties after that. So I think this is one of the other questions a minute ago. But if you have a printed schedule, you're going to have to stay with your schedule. And if Cal Golden is supposed to be in the bathroom calling, there's going to be people in the bathroom calling that wants to dance to Cal Golden, so he better be there. And it's hard to change that schedule, okay? So then the MC, I think, has to step in and take it.
I think here's a verse to take that. Be able to be flexible, to change, fill in, substitute, speed up, or slow down as an MC. Frank has a couple of things he would like to bring in. Just stand right there, Lee. Frank, go ahead.
I would like to interject a couple of things that are actually concise suggestions to callers who may like the experience and would like this sort of help. In Cal's presentation a while ago, he made mention of the fact that oftentimes the square dance caller and the round dance cuer require entirely different settings for the microphones in the way of volume controls and treble bass balance. For that very reason, when I'm in an MC situation, I always have two microphones at my disposal. I carry two microphones for that very reason, plus the fact I don't want to leave the house with one microphone anyway, because sometime it's going to go out. But seriously, set the microphones if it's going to be the one caller, one cuer situation for all evening. He also intimated about the sanitary bit. I do not like to work a dance with someone who possibly has a cold. I just can't afford that cold. That person may only call one dance a week or cue one dance a week. I'm calling 6 nights a week. I can't afford the time off. And so I do not want his or her germs. So therefore, I'll provide the microphone. The other thing, real quickly, many of we callers probably haven't had the opportunity to be involved in grand marches. Be aware that there are some inherent problems built into grand marches. Be certain that you have at least partially trained the people who are going to act as the leaders of that grand march. Also, I'm a great believer in pylons for the dancers to go around. I'm using the word pylon. Those are usually individuals, dancers, holding flags or something, because the people involved in the Grand March will inevitably round the corners, shortcut, cut across, and it does not make for an attractive Grand March nor a well-timed Grand March. Those are just two notes that I took on your...
Got time for one more question. We hurry.
We didn't go in, Lee Haley from Glendale, Arizona. We didn't go into showmanship that much, but I have probably a rare situation. When I get enthused and I put on a real good rocker, I'll start dancing around. Or, for example, I'll do an Elvis medley, and I'll dance around, and not because of the choreography. The squares will break down because they'll turn around and look at me. I've broken down 3 or 4 squares at a time because they'll look at me because I'm up there dancing around doing my Elvis thing. Does anybody ever have a situation like that?
Frank, we got about a minute, or Mike?
Yeah. If you've ever danced to Bronc-Wise, it's a natural part of the showmanship part. The dancers will even stop dancing in the first few squares, and you don't be concerned about it. They're